Things nobody ever noticed in WWE. Number 10. Vader's awkward wardrobe mishap. When Vader arrived in WWE at the '96 Royal Rumble, he was presented as somewhat of a big deal. However, upon re-watching Vader's WWE debut, it's apparent that somehow Vader was wearing his singlet backwards. Upon noticing this for the first time, it's virtually impossible to ignore, and it's baffling how the legendary star made this blunder. The weird thing about Vader's attire mishap is this was some sort of an omen for how his WWE run would turn out. Vader's WWE run was a total flop, and despite Vader being initially set to win the WWE title in the summer of '96, all he would receive was backstage heat and a place further down the card. But this is mostly thanks to Shawn Michaels' BS backstage. Number 9. Paul Bearer has a theme song. Paul Bearer is mostly known for his acclaim work alongside The Undertaker, and Bearer rarely took part in segments by himself, so in theory, a theme song was never needed for him. Surprisingly, it turned out that Bearer genuinely did have his own unique theme song, and it debuted on WWE television in 1997. On the March 31st, 1997 edition of Raw, Bearer would come down to the ring with his own theme song, and the song sounded somewhat familiar, and it turned out that it was one of Papa Shango's all-theme songs. A fascinating fact about the theme song was that it was also used for the Executioner character. This character was briefly managed by Bearer, so it was a nice touch of logic and continuity from WWE's production team. Number 8. Triple H's Special Boots. WrestleMania 20 was main evented by Triple H vs Shawn Michaels vs Chris Benoit for the world title, and one of the more interesting things about the attires for the match was that Triple H was wearing white boots. This was a drastic change for the game, and they looked incredible. The change was even picked up by Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler on commentary, which in turn gave extra weight to the significance of the change. What many fans forgot is that this wasn't the only time that the game brought out the white boots. For numerous major matches in 2004, Triple H would sport the white boots. Take for instance the Backlash 2004 rematch between himself, HBK and Benoit, and his subsequent Hell in a Cell showdown with Michaels at Bad Blood pay-per-view. The game opting to keep the boots for special occasions was a welcome touch, as it kept the look unique, and whenever the game wore the boots in 2004, it signaled that the match was a big deal. Number 7. Alist Blacks' gear has hidden meaning. During his WWE tenure, Alist Black went above and beyond when it came to his character work, and this was especially the case when it came to his attire. Whenever Black entered into a feud with someone on the WWE roster, he would customize his gear to match the specific wrestler that he was feuding with. In a now deleted social media post, Black previously went into detail into the rationale behind this. This AB outfit is my basic outfit. Whenever I wear the gold and black Kali on my trunks, it means that I'm either starting a feud, storyline, or having a one-off. The jacket is famine. Hannah made this jacket as part of the circles of hell we were doing. The ribs mean I'm starving. I need competition, struggle, strife, war in order to transform. This can come in the form of matches, violent verbal engagements, or attacks. The more violent the build, the more I change. However, if there is something significant at play, I use that to transform too. Black specifically drew attention to his NXT feud with Johnny Gargano. For example, myself versus Gargano. Johnny jumped me and I was out for 3 months. When I came back, my jacket switched, my trunks changed because I didn't know who did it at first, so I didn't have an identity. Then when it was revealed to be John, and by the time I came out, I looked like I just skinned a demon and wore a skin. This didn't stop when Black was called up to the main roster, as the attention to detail continued, as Black would incorporate new elements such as using Cesaro's colors for the lighting during his backstage promos. Number 6. Mankind had an exit theme. Upon arriving in WWE in 1996, Mankind was given one of the most iconic theme songs possible. His first theme was dark, mysterious, and perfectly captured the essence of what Mankind's character was all about. When Mankind won his matches, a different theme would play, and this theme would be much more positive in tone, and it was as if Mankind was now in a much better place mentally. To this day, Mankind is the only person in WWE history to have 2 different theme songs for his entrance and exit, and it's a formula that WWE could look to revisit. Number 5. Sabu's trademark point to the sky. The reason as to why Sabu pointed towards the sky during his entrance has always been put down to Sabu paying tribute to his uncle the Sheik. In reality, the trademark point is simply a generic wrestling taunt and actually has no symbolism at all. Sabu's uncle passed away years after Sabu began to perform the taunt. Despite this, it could certainly be argued that following 2003, when the Sheik passed away, Sabu's taunt transitioned into a formal tribute to his uncle. Number 4. Xavier Woods' continuity. In 2016, the Wyatt family embarked on a feud with the New Day. The feud was vastly underrated, and the work of Xavier Woods and Bray Wyatt in particular was nothing short of outstanding. The likely reason as to why this feud is often forgotten about is that it just came before the modern brand split, so most of the attention at the time was directed towards that notable event. One of the key plot points of the storyline was that Woods would come under Wyatt's spell numerous times, and this was played to perfection by Woods. Whilst this didn't go anywhere substantial once the feud was over, Woods had managed to keep the lore of the storyline alive in subsequent years. Following the 2016 feud, whenever Woods and Wyatt interacted on screen, Woods would act terrified and hesitant of Wyatt. This is the exact type of character and continuity work where wrestlers really thrive. Number 3. Shane McMahon's ingenious attire. Shane McMahon's matches was always an exciting spectacle, and McMahon always went out of his way to leave a lasting memory for the fans. Due to McMahon not being a traditional wrestler, he often wore sweatpants for his matches, yet his shirt was always symbolic and always had a nod to his feud or the event itself. Take for instance when McMahon took on X-Pac at WrestleMania 15, McMahon sported a WrestleMania 15 jersey with the phrase X-Chump plastered over the center. Fast forward to WrestleMania 17 and he wore a jersey that perfectly matched the branding colors of the event itself, and this was one of McMahon's best attires as it was simple but stylish at the same time. For virtually every pay-per-view match, McMahon would also use a phrase on the back of his shirt, and this phrase was also used to poke fun at his opponent. Some of the highlights of the past years have included Vince, we have a problem for his match versus father, Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17, Giant Killer for his match versus Big Show at Backlash 2001, Kurt's Kryptonite for his match versus Kurt Angle at King of the Ring 2001, Bischoff for his match versus Eric Bischoff at SummerSlam 2003, Heartbreaker for his 1v1 match versus Shawn Michaels at Saturday Night's Main Event in 2006. Number 2. Bret Hart's gear has a hidden meaning. In terms of iconic ring gear, Bret Hart's gear is certainly up there with the very best, and it had a touching element embedded onto it. The Hearts and Stars were all there to represent his children, with one being added each time another child was born. Hart would have 4 children by the early 90s, and that's why Hart had 4 Hearts or Stars for the entirety of the 90s. And number 1, Triple H's respect for the world title. Whenever Triple H was world champion in WWE, it was presented to the audience that the world title was the life and soul of the game's existence. Whenever Triple H lost the title, it was as if his entire world had fallen apart, and this was a gimmick that made the world title seem like the biggest thing in the world, and it was definitely a gimmick that should have been a commonplace for top heels in WWE. When watching Triple H's world title matches, it's easy to miss a secret detail that the game does with the world title, and it highlights just how much respect and love he had for the title itself. When handing the title over, the game would carefully fold over the straps, kiss it, and then would often hold it close to his chest like a newborn child. This was a stark contrast to wrestlers who treated the top prize in the company like a prop, and would often throw the title in the ring like it meant nothing. Interestingly, we haven't seen Triple H's attitude towards top titles resurface since he became head of creative. Names such as Roman Reigns and Gunther treat their respective titles with respect and love, and this has definitely been something that the game would have been pushing for internally. But there you have it folks, things that nobody ever noticed in WWE. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.